Hello, it's Tim from Fair Play Now, and I've got none other than Ivor Cummins who here next to me. And you're over in England for a few talks, I believe. You did a very interesting one yesterday in Tisbury. That's fabulous. That was filmed, so that will be coming out soon. But just very briefly, what were you talking about?
Right. Well, Tisbury is fantastic, by the way. Beautiful place. And I'm on a tour, and I was kind of down Southampton, the Attic Club, then Tisbury, then Ledbury, then Buxton up north. But in Tisbury, I did actually a different talk. Usually I do all the nutrition and health, and then I do the Rockefellers and geopolitics and all. But in Tisbury, I actually talked about the Great Taking. So it's David Rogers Webb has written this book, thegreattaking.com. You can download for free. And I kind of summarized it because it's a bit big and complex, and I kind of compressed it down into 20 minutes and tried to make it interesting. And essentially what it is that over 50 to 70 years, the powers that be in America have, changed the legal structure. So what we used to own for 400 years, securities like, stocks and shares and balances in brokers, they were securities because we securely owned them. Well, in America by 2000, over 50 years, they've changed it so you actually don't own them. You're a beneficial owner, you're a kind of an owner, but Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, the Bank of International Settlements and the big central banks, if there's a derivatives crash, a big crash, which could happen legally, they will have first call on all these assets. So it's a fascinating story. And the US got the EU or Europe to do all of this from 2004 up to 2016 when they mopped up Sweden and Finland and did a workaround with a Belgian company to get past their laws that stopped them doing this. So the whole world now, legally, it's all dotted, I's dotted, T's crossed. In the event of a major crash, you'll get a few percent of what you think you own.
And what I found very shocking from your talk is this could apply to even the very, very super rich as well. They could lose all their money, let alone us little guys.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. And David, he stresses that the very wealthy people need to know this, and they do not know. A very small number of people, and very connected to the State Department and CIA, actually have done all this. And he said even big brokers, high net worth individuals, billionaires, no one knows this currently. But if they do know it, and this is the key thing, if there was an awareness, influential, wealthy people would rightly say, this is insane. And if there was a pushback that occurred, and a couple of states in America now, they're raising this and trying to bring in a law to void it. If that happens, he said, this can be stopped. But if there's no awareness, it won't be stopped, and it's a disaster.
Well, hopefully you're raising awareness, and I'm doing my tiny little bit as well. The main talk that Ivor did yesterday will be coming very soon, that we go into this in much more detail. But we'll move on. So here we are, April 2024. Where do you think we are? Because you ended your talk yesterday on quite an optimistic note, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I hope people don't think, he's just being optimistic to make everyone feel better. I really am optimistic. Around a year and a half ago, there were so few people awake. I kind of was a little pessimistic. I was thinking, how are we ever going to get going on this? But now, after the last year and a half, there has been a substantial awakening. And while a lot of people who kind of took all the jabs and fell for the nonsense of COVID, a lot of those people won't admit it was crazy. But talking to them, a lot of them deep down realize they just won't admit it, which is okay. That's the way humans are. If they've done something stupid, they don't want to acknowledge it. But I think there's a lot of quiet awareness now that COVID, in retrospect, was kind of a bit insane. And then the new things that are happening, like central bank digital currency and all this war stuff going on, the proxy wars in Ukraine, and you've got Israel and now Iran, people are beginning to realize something's going really wrong in the world, and it's being led from the top. And that's good. And over time, they'll just look a little more, they'll listen a little more to people who can explain it to them. And I think we're on our way. We're going down the razor's edge, I often say, all to play for. And I mentioned the referendum in Ireland. So the Irish people were shockingly compliant with COVID. I mean, I lived there. It was astonishing. Level 5 lockdown, and I drove to the UK where there was almost no lockdown. Ireland is a real puppet of the globalists and the pharma industry. However, they've gone too far. So they tried to do a referendum to kind of take woman and family and the central importance of the family and the mother in our society, and the government must protect. That's all the wording they put in 100 years ago.
Yes.
And it's all perfect. It's not archaic. If it was written last week, you'd say, wow, that's good. But they said it was out of date. And they wanted to put in any durable relationship can be important, and take out the family, just relationships in general, all is woo. And the reasons they wanted it was, of course, the whole trans ideology, the kind of Marxist madness. And they also want, I think, with mass migration they're driving, putting in durable relationship will allow legally people who are here as economic migrants, not as refugees, they're all economic migrants mostly, that they'll be able to bring over multiple family members, because these relationships can now be claimed as family and all. So this is the whole game. But the Irish people smelled a rat, and they may not know what we know about the Great Taking and, WEF, but all parties, all media and all NGOs were pushing for a yes for this travesty, and the people sent back nearly 70% no.
That was a fantastic result.
And it was a shocker for them.
Yeah.
And they were snapped out of their arrogance, because the stuff they've been doing for the last few years, they're doing it with impunity. These puppeticians, I call them.
Yeah, yes.
And but the people threw it back in their face. And now since then, the Prime Minister, who's a WEF Young Global Leader, of course, he's gone, Coveney's gone, a whole load of reprobates have just left politics. So they walked off the pitch. So I just think it's a very good sign if Ireland can begin to wake up. There's great hope for everyone.
Yes, yeah, I know. I saw that result. Well, probably on one of your videos when you went into the detail of it, and what a result! And I feel people are sort of kicking back quite a bit more. So what can we do to keep the momentum going, would you say?
Oh, I think I often say to people, we've got two things, awareness, and as Solzhenitsyn said, the key thing a man can do, or a woman, is just simply refuse to live the lie. In other words, we spread awareness as much as we can, and I always say to be effective in that, you have to refer to published sources like Spectator, Telegraph had done good articles saying lockdown was a disgrace. So you've got real mainstream references to make the points to people. If you start referring to stuff you saw on Facebook, they'll turn away and you lose them. So always use the references, like my Nordengerd Rockefeller story of the history and geopolitics of the WEF. That's all fully referenced. So you can actually tell people. And the other thing is the way, rather than getting passionate and maybe looking like a little conspiracy theorist you just stay calm and smile and ask questions. Well, yeah, okay, but why then did the Spectator publish that the lockdown had almost no benefit and caused trillions of dollars of damage? And then you're very reasonable, and people find it harder to shut you out. So do it in that way. And the other thing is, don't live the lie. So use cash as much as you can. Get your food from local supply in as much as you can. And lobby politicians or help with leaflet drops, or do all those things against the nonsense as much as you can. And of course, the great work you're doing, Tim, and just keep getting out. I think Richard, yesterday, the MC, actually made a good point. He said, even if you have a small channel, medium channel, doesn't matter. If we keep getting it out on loads of channels, the news, even as they try and censor, it'll be kind of whack-a-mole for them. Yeah. And I agree with him. So my YouTubes automatically go on, what is it? Odyssey, and the Rumble.
Yeah.
And why not? You're spreading it out. And then Twitter embedded videos, Facebook embedded videos. Just keep getting it out. Keep a wave of common sense.
Keep getting the word out there. So just to finish up on Ivor, well, what have you got in the pipeline yourself and your work over this coming summer?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, a few things are, I've got to do Ledbury tomorrow, then Buxton, then I'm back to Ireland. On Saturday in Dublin, there's a big event with Asim Malhotra, crusading
yes,
cardiologist, yeah, and a professor of vascular surgery as well. He's a great guy. And there's 4 speakers, day-long event, and I'm going to MC it. So I need to put together some material for that. And then I go to Spain for the Brownstone Institute. People may be familiar, really good guys in America, Jeffrey Tucker, they've been great since COVID, and they're doing their first European conference, and I'm speaking at it. And then after that, at the end of the month, I'm going to Florida, to Orlando. Luckily, these people, Rebel Capitalists, are covering my costs. They want me to speak there. And it'll be around all the geopolitics and Rockefeller and maybe the Great Taking. And, there's a few other things after that, but there's a little bit of travel coming up now. And during COVID and for a couple of years, all of that was mostly gone, but it's coming back. And
yes.
it speaks to awareness that the kind of financial, macroeconomics and financial world. I met with people in Dubai there. They brought me over a few weeks ago. I gave a couple of talks. They are really getting aware, like hyper aware. So the whole financial investor-y type, even enthusiasts, Bitcoiners, all these people now are just incredibly aware, and they're going to spread to friends and family. To your earlier point,
Yes.
It's all to play for.
Yeah. Right. And where can we find you? Just in case people don't know. Where can we find you?
Well, at Fat Emperor on Twitter. And to be honest, my YouTube and Twitter are my main things. But if you Google or search engine my name, currently you'll still find my stuff and my Twitter and my YouTube. Maybe someday they'll try and change that, but at the moment you can't.
No, fair enough. Okay, thank you very much, Ivor. Appreciate your work, and keep going, as I'm sure you will, and I definitely will as well.
Yeah.
So it's Tim and Ivor from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.